Solutions to Water Scarcity. My name is Oren, and I'm representing IFAN, the International Federation of Standard Users. Together with ISO and SII, the Standard Institution of Israel, we organized this insightful session for you. We hope you will enjoy it. Welcome to our session. For most of us, getting up in the morning to wash our faces, brush our teeth, and actually turning on, opening the faucet is very natural. But for over 2 billion people from around the world, this is not trivial at all. They live in countries where water is not adequately supplied. As a matter of fact, almost 2/3 of the population will suffer from water scarcity for at least 1 month a year. Wow. And everybody's talking about climate change, and they're talking about future plans, but climate change, the crisis is already here, and we're facing it today. Just from listening to the news this week, you hear on one hand extreme weather conditions, terrible rain, typhoons this week, and awful rainfall in different places. And on the other side, drought. Drought is a big problem, but both of them are equally important and critical for drinking water and for using water for agriculture, for food, for health, and for all other industries. The climate change, which is here, and water is really the primary means in which we feel the effects of the crisis. Just from listening to the news this year, let's look at Europe. Italy, for example, had the worst drought in 70 years, just this year. And look about England. We have a representative from England right here. We spoke about it yesterday. And although they are surrounded by water, they have a terrible drought this year. And they had to force on some emergency acts just to deal with the problem of water. And let's go to United States. Did you know that 43% of the states in the United States, just this year alone, had drought? Going to Asia, we have Vietnam, and we'll hear about Vietnam later on today. China, India suffered from a terrible drought this year. Well, Africa, of course, Somalia, Kenya, Ethiopia. This year was really, really bad. So you see there are two extremes, but they're talking about the same problem. And we decided to have this session because we believe that if we take all those conditions and we'll combine them with standards, we'll find a solution. And this is what this session is all about. So today, in this session, we are going to explore what does it mean to have those great innovative solutions here. We're going to have a panel. We have 3 wonderful panelists with us today. We'll tell you what they're going to discuss in a few minutes. And then we're going to have case studies, 3 case studies which represent wonderful innovative solutions. We will hear from developing countries, and we'll have questions and answers at the end of the session. So if you feel that you have any question, if you're online or if you're here, please send us the questions, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. This session has been recorded. I forgot to say it in the beginning. We have no translation to other languages, but it's only in English. And again, if you have any questions, just send us an online. We'll try to be on it all the time. So I hope you'll enjoy it, and let's begin. So we have 3 panelists with us. Let me introduce them. We have Dr. Gilad Golub, is the SII, the Standards Institution of Israel CEO. He's also a professor in the university in Israel teaching about innovation and research and development. And we have with us Mrs. Dalia Yarom. She is a chairperson of a committee, of an ISO committee on water reuse. And we have Mr. Michael Rotman. He is the CEO of WaterGen. It's a wonderful, innovative solution for water scarcity. We will listen to them later on. And let's begin. Are you all ready? I will call you by your first name if it's OK with you. And I'll start with Gilad. Israel has been at the forefront of water technology, developing some of the most powerful water solutions on this planet. Salination, drip irrigation, smart metering, etc. How does Israel use this disadvantage and lack of drinking water to become the Silicon Valley of water technologies?
not many people know about it, but 60% of the land of Israel, it's desert. I was born in Beersheba. Beersheba, it's the capital of the desert area in Israel. The meaning of Beersheba, this is a biblical town from something like 5,000 years ago. It's the town of Ibrahim. And the meaning is Be'er, it's water well, and Sheva, it's seven. Seven well. So water was a big issue even 5,000 years ago. And necessity is the mother of all invention. So we have necessity. The population in Israel multiplied itself in the last 70 years by 8. And we always have shortage of water. I can give you some rough number. Our annual consumption in Israel, it's 2.4 billion cubic meter. But we only receive 1 billion cubic meter from natural sources, from rain. So we have a gap of 1.4 billion cubic meter that we have to find. There is different kinds of solution for this problem. There are technology that produce water, like desalination. There are technology that save water, like saving leakage from piping, drip irrigation. And there are a technology that we are specialized now, which is wastewater recycling. Half of the consumption of the water in Israel go to irrigation. We are now recycling 90% of our wastewater. 90% of our wastewater. The number 2 country in the world is Spain, with only 30. And this 90% of our wastewater is going to irrigation. It's about like half of the water that we need for irrigation. And that's something that I think should be done. It's like one solution for 2 problems. First, it solves the problem of dealing with the wastewater correctly. And second, it's give us extra water for irrigation. It's became more and more important.
Great. Can you give me an example of how Israel used its innovation to beat the water crisis?
Let's say that we need to use this wastewater after recycling them. It means that we need to have standard for the product in the end, how to use it, where to use it. And it also means that you have to find a solution that will be economical, because you use it for agriculture. And if the water will be too expensive, you can't use it. We have a problem that we tried to use at the beginning, this wastewater, and we discovered that the salinity and the concentration of boron, it's the number 5 element in the periodic table, it's too high. And we were wondering where they are coming from. People don't throw salt and boron into the sink. We discovered that they are coming from the washing powder, from the detergent. And we have special standard in Israel for the washing powder with less salt and almost no boron. And therefore, we can use the wastewater later on, and therefore it's became very economical. The price in Israel of wastewater recycling is around 40 cents. The average price in the world is about like $1. So this makes all the difference.
Thank you. You are a professor of innovations in Israel. And how are all these connected to standards? Innovation, standards, for me it sounds 2 different things.
You know, people say that standard give you limits, and innovation, it's breaking boundaries. So you have to find to combine them. I think that the standard is the new limit. When you do the R&D, the development, at the end of the R&D process, you have to have standard, and this is the new limit. Students often ask me why all of this innovation is carried out in Israel. Because the problem of water recycling is not unique to Israel. And like Verd also mentioned, now it's not a problem of developing country. Also developed countries have this problem. And if you want the full answer, you have to come to my course at the Ben Gurion University.
Okay, let's sign us
Because this is about like 13, it's quite long. But I can give you a partial answer. I think it's lay in history. And it's quite unique to the history of Israel. If you look all over the world, on the last 200 years, mostly people were going from the villages to the big city. 200 years ago, 80% of the population grew food. And hunger was very common. Now about like only 3 to 4% are growing the food. And less people are hungry. So all the time, people were going from the villages to the city, and not the other way around, except in Israel. In Israel, because of very specific ideology of people that was coming to the kibbutz, maybe you heard about the kibbutz, people that was educated, coming from the big city, engineer, with technology, and they admire hard working and cultivate the land. And this admiration took these people with the skill, with the technological skills from the city, and they would try to work. And farming, it's a hard work. So all the time they were looking for a solution. And you see a lot of innovation in the fields of agriculture in Israel, but because we have the problem of water shortage. So a lot of the innovation is in these fields. And this is what's unique in Israel.
Thank you very much, Gilad. I will turn now to Dalia. And Dalia, we heard about Israel, but the problem is really global, and it affects all of us around the world. ISO realized the problem, and they really created 4 different committees dealing with water problems. But you're chairing the 5th one. Why do we need a 5th one, and why do we need one on water reuse?
Okay, so good morning, Vered. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your question. Just before I answer your question, just a brief on what we are doing in our ISO committee on water reuse. We look at the process. We don't look at the water. We look at the process. We take the water through a journey from the wastewater to its last destination for the use. If it's agriculture, industry, urban, it doesn't matter, but it all along the journey, and that's what we are standardized. And it's part of the answer of your question, but I think that the main answer, it's more psychological one, and I'll give you an example, okay? Let's imagine that you're not here, you're at home, and you are going to buy some tomatoes for your morning salad. And you've been offered to buy tomatoes that were irrigated with fresh water, spring water coming from the Alp side, and another tomatoes that were irrigated by reused water. I believe, even if it's on the same price, okay? I believe that I know what you are going to buy. I'm not sure that's the right decision, okay? I'm not sure, because sometimes reused water are more suitable for irrigation, and that's the answer that we are doing, and that's the problem that was debated even in Europe until the year 2020 when they published, when Europe published a new directive and mentioned the 4 ISO standards that were developed by our committee and just gave the boundaries for water, reused water for agriculture. And if we are looking at part of the scope of our committee, and let me read it to you, when we are working, we are taking into consideration the potential of unintentional exposure or ingestion. So we are looking at the process, but finally on the product.
Great, thank you.
And just to mention that It wasn't only adopted by European countries, also by Bolivia and South Africa and so many other countries.
Great. Can you tell us what are the challenges that you're facing?
Yes, of course. You know, the challenges, and Gilad already mentioned it, you know, you can do a process that you can purify the water. Okay, you can take the water into a journey and bring them the first treatment, second, third, and so on, until you get it purified. But the challenge is to do it cost effective. So to do it as much clean as you need for the right purpose.
Great. And you mentioned water for agriculture. Can you give me another example of anything else that it can be applicable around the world?
Yes, of course. You know, industry, reused water for industry. Industry consumes a lot of water. But it's not only for the product itself when you have to add some water to the product. It's also for cooling purposes. So you have two big problems. If you use the water for cooling, then they go to the soil and they can, you know, harm the soil. And the soil is very big nature that we have to use afterwards. So we treat the water after the process, and we treat water also for the product itself. And it's two different standards, two different point of views, and in a cost-effective way. So that's the point everywhere. And we are looking also for urban uses of water. You know, we all use water for many, many things, but not only as we use them, we use water for well-being, because you want to have parks, you want to have lawns, and you want to irrigate them, and you know, I remember times when we had to dry our lawns, and now I heard that in Britain they are doing this. So yes, it's a lot of uses, a lot of standards, and I think it's a very fruitful work.
Thank you, Dalia. I think you're doing a wonderful job there. Now we'll turn to Michael. As I said, Michael is the CEO of WaterGen, a wonderful technology that really extracts water from the air, from humidity in the air. Wow. We're going to watch a video in a few minutes of your wonderful, innovative solution. But first, I want to ask you, we heard about innovation. We heard about standards. At what stage in your life, in your product life, did you realize that you need standards?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Great pleasure being here today. Thank you for the invitation, Vera. Thank you, everybody. Actually, in a pretty early stage, because on one hand, we are dealing with water from air, which exists for thousands of years, and people know condensation, and condensation is a natural process. But on the other side, there was no standard on actually on this water. So nobody ever thought that this water would be for mass consumption. And then when we started to actually implement our technology in different countries, we saw that, okay, there are standards for municipal water. There are standards for desalinated water. There are standards for recycled water. But there are no standards for water from air. And it's actually a different set of standards that we need, because some of the, let's say, elements that are needed in municipal water, like chlorine, for example, are not needed in our water because it's pure and fresh, and it's created on the spot. On the other side, when you create this water, it's very important to limit the power consumption and the efficiency as part of the standard. So actually, standards became a very essential part of our company. We have we are around 200 people today. Around, I don't know, five or six people in the company are actually dealing with standards, working with multiple institutes around the world, and actually writing those standards that in the future will lead the standardization for atmospheric water generation.
Wow, very, very interesting. Thank you, panelists. We'll leave you for now, but we're getting back to them, don't worry. I want to turn now to 3 case studies, wonderful, innovative solutions. And first, let's watch the first one. It's called Netafim. Netafim is a company that is doing water drip irrigations for the agriculture industry. Let's watch the first video.
Netafim is a global agtech leader that pioneered drip irrigation in 1965 and today is the world's largest irrigation company. At Netafim, we're continuously developing new irrigation and crop growing technologies, providing customers with complete end-to-end agricultural projects, services, and turnkey greenhouse solutions, all supported by our team of professionals. We help farmers, corporates, governments, and NGOs in achieving their agricultural aspirations. Precision irrigation allows climate resilience that brings stability to the farming ecosystem,
ensuring a food-secure future and empowering sustainable agriculture. Or as we like to say, we help the world grow more with less.
Great, thank you very much. I must say that we have full videos. If you go on site on the program, in the ISO forum, ISO platform, you'll see the videos of the 3 companies. We just took them now and make them really short for this program, but you can look back later on and find the whole video. So now we heard about Netafim. Let's hear from the Vice President of Product Management, Mr. Abed Masawa, and he's going to talk more about the company and what they're doing there.
Hello, everyone. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Abed Masawa, and I'm the VP Products of Netafim, 26 years with the company. So where it all started? It started from necessity. A group of growers in the southern desert of Israel, in Kibbutz Hatzrim, were struggling to grow food. And that's actually with a little bit of innovation and collaboration they managed to build Netafim. Netafim became today the global precision agricultural leader, and today we are the world's largest irrigation company. Our goal is to grow more with less. Growing more with less means growing more food with less natural resources. We are living the age of less. What does it mean, less? Less means less natural resources, less water, and less arable land. But it's not only this, it's also less stability in our climate. If I'm a grower of corn and I want to grow corn, if I'm going to rain feed my corn, I need to seed my seeds on March. And if I don't have water in March, I'll not be able to grow my food. So it's not only having the natural resources like water and land, it's also the timing of having the water and land available for us. So at this age of less, we need to do more. So agriculture, as we know it, has to change in order to be able to grow food in a better way. We, in precision agriculture, changing the way that we are going to grow our food. So precision agriculture by Netafim means a lot of things. It's the product portfolio that we are creating. It's the agricultural knowledge, the end-to-end project solutions, greenhouses, digital farming, community irrigation projects. Not only this, all of this we are doing with a sustainable approach. We are not contaminating our land. We are not putting plastic on landfill. We are aiming to collect every single drip line that we do and recycle it and take it back. So with end-to-end solution, we are able to provide, with our huge portfolio, solution from the water source until the last emitting unit in the field. So every single product in Netafim is stamped with a stamp of quality. And that's the reason that together with the ISO committee, we are driving to more sustainable food secure future. Thank you, everybody.
And thank you, Abed, for a wonderful explanation. Again, if you want more information about the company, go back to ISO forum, see the platform, and you'll get there more information. And I would like to introduce the second one. It's called BioPure Max. It's purifying water for the pharmaceutical industry. Please, welcome.
BioPure Max, the next generation of pharmaceutical pre-treatment water systems. Reliable, green, clean, and simple. The BioPure Max system includes 2 main stages. Number 1, electrical scale reduction. Number 2, optical dechlorination in UV chamber. In the first stage, scale is reduced by partial hydrolysis of the water, using a low electrical current passing from an electrode in the center of the chamber to the cylindrical cathode. Scale is removed from the feed water without resins, without regeneration, no rinsing or effluent to drain, no use of chemicals, no use of organic resins, low maintenance. So, in a reliable, clean, and effective process, the scale-reduced water flows to the second stage in which dechlorination occurs. Intense UV irradiation destroys free chlorine. The result is a chlorine-free, clean process that negates the need for activated carbon or sodium bisulfite. The reverse osmosis system can now utilize the pre-treated water without precipitation of scale or oxidization of the membrane. Sanitization of the system by hot water circulation from the city water tank to the inlet to the PW storage tank.
Great, thank you. We would now welcome Mr. Shlomo Sackstein. He is the CEO of the company. Please welcome him.
Thank you, Izo, for the opportunity to give this presentation. RO water pretreatment for pharmaceutical water systems. Special purification is needed for the production of good quality pharmaceuticals. If the water is not cleaned of bacteria, viruses, organics, and dissolved solids, the drug product could impact on the health of patients. After many years of installing and operating water systems, I came to understand that the most problematic and complicated problem in water systems is the control of bacterial growth. On this background, BioPureMax developed its water pretreatment technology, specifically targeted to minimize the chances of contamination and to maximize the chances of being able to remove the contamination if bacteria do take hold. BioPureMax technology is based on electrically reducing scale in the RO feed. This is called ESR, and destruction of free chlorine by the use of a very high-powered UV. The electrolytic scale reduction, the ESR, works by splitting water with electricity and generating high pH zone in which scale will precipitate. The UV HOD destroys chlorine by splitting the oxidizing molecules in the water and rendering them harmless to the delicate RO membranes and the other water treatment equipment. All of this is accomplished with no regeneration, no chemicals, and no waste. Any company in a developing country that is looking to simplify its water systems need water systems like BioPureMax systems that are simple and reliable, systems with no moving parts and very little maintenance. In addition, there are water savings and low-cost operational costs and meeting the strictest requirements and standards. Working the technology into a standard, involving international experts, and being the center of the standard compilation, publicized both the technology and the company, and has gone a long way in convincing a skeptical market on the advantages and reliability of the BioPureMax systems. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Shlomo. And this is, again, another wonderful company that you should hear. You would hear more about them, I'm sure. And before we turn to you, Michael, to explain, let's watch the video about your company.
Water scarcity is one of the greatest challenges of our time. But where others see a challenge, WaterGen sees an opportunity for a future with a sustainable ecosystem. WaterGen's groundbreaking water from air technology is revolutionizing the market by providing a new source of water from air. We have become the world leader in water condensation, supporting water-deprived communities and delivering drinking water to millions. This is only the beginning. In the near future, WaterGen will use new groundbreaking technologies to expand into industries where water is scarce. In the auto tech industry, we are developing smart mobility solutions, creating a water-as-a-service business model for autonomous vehicles and mass transportation. In clean tech, WaterGen will offer a sustainable means for hydrogen production. In agrotech, we will provide irrigation and climate control solutions for the rapidly growing indoor farming sector. And in high-tech, WaterGen will provide innovative and effective solutions for the water-intensive industries of semiconductors and data centers. The future is here, a new source of water from air. WaterGen, creating water from air, everywhere.
Wow. Every time I watch it, I say, wow. So now, Michael, it's your turn to tell us, how did you get to this technology and what is that?
So again, it's fairly easy and simple because, as you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, the world is suffering from a huge water scarcity issue, and we need to find a solution. And I think the main idea was that the same that happened to communication about 20 years ago, when before everything was based on landline technology, people innovated and created wireless technologies. And then all this communicational technologies were able to penetrate developing countries and be everywhere. And we wanted to create water wireless because, I'm an history fan. And when I look at history and I see water innovations, the last innovation, the Romans, they invented the aqueducts, which actually move water from point A to point B 2,000 years ago. And basically for 2,000 years, we didn't innovate on that. And creating water out of air is something also which existed, but nobody did it in mass scale. So with WaterGen, we actually created a new technology which allows us to create water from air in a very, very high efficiency and to deploy it literally everywhere on the spot, illuminating all the transportation part. And basically in this room, you have a machine over there which can create up to 30 liters per day. That machine can be installed in every home or office and just produce fresh, clean, pure drinking water. And we have machines like this, starting from 5 liters a day up to 6,000 liters per day, which actually supply water for the whole building. And there are communities in more than 92 countries who are actually enjoying this miracle of water just inside their community. And as you saw in the video, this is just the beginning because the second problem of which we didn't mention here in that panel, which is plastic waste. And all of us, we are all people, we are all on the go, and we use bottles. And this is plastic bottles. This is the transportation of plastic bottles. And I believe that about no more than 92% of all the used plastic bottles are recycled. And there are billions of tons of them around the globe. So actually creating those drinking sources everywhere, in cars, yachts, trains, buses, buildings, everywhere, not just will create a new source of drinking water, but also will eliminate plastic and dramatically reduce carbon footprint. And today, we are looking ahead and actually creating almost every quarter, we are improving the technology. We are making it much more effective every time. And this is, like it was said in the movie, it's just the beginning.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. And now I would like to experiment with you. Sorry, not online, but people here. I need 2 volunteers. Anybody wants to volunteer? You would like to volunteer? Great. So both of you. I would like you to taste the water. There are 2 cans of water. One of them is mineral water, and one of them is water-gen water. And I want to see if you know the difference, if you notice the difference. Don't worry, I tried both. I tried the mineral water, and I tried the other one, and I'm here, and I survived. And I'm here.
First of all, we are, the water is according to standards.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
and second, it's important to state that the water was generated in this room. It's not something that came from somewhere. It was generated in this room, in the spot, basically today's morning.
Today.
So it's fresh.
It's fresh. We tried it. So now you're going to taste both waters. Please try the first one, then the second one, and then let us know which one you think is water-gen and which one you think is mineral water. Okay? So you're keeping track what you gave each one. Okay? So please start with the first one. Okay, and you can give them the second one. Just, yeah. I'm curious.
I'm not.
All those talking about water make me 30.
Yeah, I'll drink to that as well. Okay, who's ready? Would you like to start? Whoops. Which one do you think? Sorry.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Thank you. I think the second one is mineral, and the first one.
Okay.
It's water.
Okay. What about you?
To be honest, I cannot find the difference except that the first one is the second one is colder than the first one.
The second one is colder, and you think that mineral water was the first one, or water-gen water was the first one or second one? Which one do you think?
Doesn't know.
No,
Okay.
feel free. You know, if you don't find the difference, also fine.
So I guess it's obvious. If you can't tell the difference, then drinking water is drinking water. Well, the one with the pink one, which I think it was the first one you drank, was water-gen water, and the other was a mineral. So I tried it this morning. I tried it, I think, a couple of weeks ago when I came to your office before this session. Couldn't tell the difference. And actually, it's wonderful because you can have water-gen. And I urge you on the way out when we finish the session, not now, only when you leave the session, try the water up there at the end of the room and enjoy it because it's wonderful, and I think it's a wonderful innovation. And right now, I would like to take some questions from the audience. But before that, we have a wonderful lady here from Vietnam, and she volunteered to speak here. And I would like you, your name is Mrs. Vuton Quain. I hope I pronounced it right. And she is from Vietnam. And I asked her if she can tell us a little bit about the situation in Vietnam, the water scarcity in Vietnam. So please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, and it's my honor to be here and to share a little bit about the stories of Vietnam relating to the water. And as you know, before, if you are in the desert, you are asked to choose water and gold, and you will choose water. But now, if you are in UAE or Israel, you are asked to choose water or gold, you will choose gold. It's because water is already available for you. And so compared with Israel or UAE, Vietnam is a country of abundant water. And we have the coastline of 3,000 kilometers and with 2,300 rivers. And so abundant of water. But however, 13 million people in Vietnam still have the limited access to the clean water. I think that through this session, it is very interesting session, and people should aware much more about the importance of the water management and treatment and reuse as well. And when I came here, I see the the watering system, and so allow the tree on the street green, and so I was very surprised. And so in the case of Vietnam, we also are one of the 5 most vulnerable to the climate change. We have flood, drought, and also the high temperature, seawater level intrusion, and the seawater intrusion into the, especially in the Mekong Delta region in the south of Vietnam. So I think it's a high time for us to collaborate at the international level and regional level on the water, especially on standardization. And there should be more committees, technical committees, and the working groups should be established to deal with the water topics such as water management, water reuse, innovation, etc. And standardization should be like a lead rather than after the technology, but lead the technology as well. So it is a very just to share with you the stories of Vietnam, some information from us, and also to make some proposal for your consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wayne. I urge you to send us those questions. We'll take 1 question from you and 1 from online. So let's start with you. Anyone here have a question for us before we go online? Yes.
Very much. David Bell from the British Standards Institution. Just to confirm what you said at the beginning, Vered, about water scarcity affecting the most unlikely places. In London, we had 10% of the normal rainfall for 3 months, and this was coupled with record high temperatures of over 40 degrees for the first time, which led to a lot of water absorption. So it's impacted even in the UK. Thank you, Michael. The water is, I've drunk the water already this morning, and it's great. My test is, would I put it in whiskey? And I would, and so it passes my test.
It's actually much better with the whiskey.
One of the strengths of the ISO system is that we can attract innovators and technologists, and I really commend the fact that WaterGen recognized so early in their journey the power of standards to transform their product. But also, of course, we have an open process, and the committee that you run, Dalia, our national committee, feeds in not just the voice of technologists and engineers, but also the voice of standards users, and Vered's organization, IFAN, and its members do a good job of feeding that back, but also the voice of society, so consumer organizations, non-governmental organizations, and water charities are all involved in the process. How important is it, do you think, Dalia, that national committees listen as well as to the industry, but also to the voice of the ultimate user, who is the beneficiary here?
Thank you, David. It's a very, very good question. And I think that the answer is really obvious because, you know, the final destination of the water is the users, the consumers, the water authorities. They need the standards in order to be sure that they are using the, let's say, right water. So, of course, it's very important, and we, in our national committee, we hear their voices as well. They are part of our standardization process, and we bring their ideas into the international standardization as well. So I think this is really the very, very good example of how standardization meet the needs of the population and what is the global needs of standardization. So yes, they are very, very important in this process.
Thank Thank you, Dalia. And as a representative of IFAN, the International Federation of Standard Users, we call ourselves the voice of standard users, and I think it's very important, and thank you for your answer. We'll turn now to the question from online. Question is for you, Gilad. You mentioned that the ingredients of detergents need to be changed or enable water reuse. Have manufacturers around the world also changed the ingredients of their detergent to enable water reuse?
I think this is an ongoing process, and you can see it all over the world. There are a lot of people that want to use detergent that less effective to the environment. And they want to use their own wastewater immediately. So you have to change the shampoo, and you have to change the soaps that you use for the cleaning, or etc. So I think this is an ongoing phenomena, and I think it should go hand with the technology. It evolves together.
Thank you. Any more questions here from the audience? Yes.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning. I'm Athena from the Cyprus Organization for Standardization. Thank you very much for, especially for the videos for this technology. That's like Vered said, wow. Okay, so we are across the, not the street, the sea from you. We don't have a desert, but our climate is very, very similar in Cyprus. Gilad, you mentioned a standard about the detergent. Did you have to make that mandatory in Israel? Or if not, how do you mentioned now about Vered, about consumers having to use different products, but how do you create consumer awareness for something that it's new, something that might be a bit more expensive, and they don't see the actual direct effect it has on the wastewater? On the other hand, you mentioned the cost is about 40 cents, you said, to the average worldwide dollar. So how do you manage as a nation to implement the new standards, the innovative standards, and to maybe force the manufacturers either in Israel or the ones that manufacture elsewhere and you import?
Wow. So first of all, about mandatory. Yes, for the washing detergent, this is mandatory because people don't see the direct relationship between the soap that they are using and, at the end, the wastewater recycling. So this should be mandatory. As much as I know, it's not more expensive, and even if it's only few promille, not more expensive to produce these kinds of powder for washing machine. For other purposes, especially if you want to use, if you have a small private house with a garden, and if you want to use your own wastewater in order to recycle, if you can separate your wastewater system, the toilet and the bathroom, and where you clean and when you wash, it's depend on you. And then it's not mandatory. And then people now start to doing it. 40 cents per dollar, it's in Israel, it's low price for water. Because the other possibility is desalination. We need 60% of the water in Israel are produced. We don't receive them. So either we do desalination or wastewater recycling, or if it's in small amount for drinking water, of course there is other technology. But on the mass production for irrigation of agriculture, this is the prices. So 40 cents is okay. $1, it's not. So, but remember, wastewater recycling is one solution for two problems. Because in any case, you have to treat your wastewater. In other countries, they just treat it and put it into the river or into the sea. In our case, we just use them again. So we treated it a little bit better. But in the end, it's quite cost effective.
Thank you, Gilad. We have lots of questions, but we don't really have so much time. So one more question for you, Michael. Does drought have significant impact on the air technology process?
Actually, not at all. because the humidity in the air is always there. Even if we go to the driest deserts in the world, I don't know, Nevada desert or any other desert, we still have about from 10 to 15% of relative humidity. And with water-gen technology, we can actually extract water from that. So there are no affection of droughts or any other climatical change on the technology and on the ability to produce drinking water on the spot.
Perfect, perfect. We're running a little short of time, so I'm not going to take any more questions, but please feel free to send us more questions. We'll try to reply to all of them. And of course, you can send us an email after that, and we'll be happy to give you all the information about the technologies, and anything else that you will wish. Would you like to have a last statement of everything you heard today? Do you have anything else to add that you want to do? You didn't have time to add.
I think that, I was thinking about this session, and we are sitting in Abu Dhabi. I don't have to explain a lot about the importance of water, but we didn't imagine about like 5 months ago that the situation on this summer with the climate change will be so dramatically. It was like a promotion for our session, and we didn't anticipate it. But really, people are talking a lot about climate change, and we really see it, especially this summer in all around the world, in China, in Europe, in the United States. This became a huge problem. So the solution is there, and we just have to adopt them.
Great. Thank you. Dalia?
Yes. I think that I'm very proud to represent the side of standardization in this session. I think that there's a correlation between standardization and solution, and we are always talking about global needs. And I think that the work of our TC282 on water use shows how standardization can go hand by hand with the solutions of the world's needs. Of course, if we are looking at the SDGs, it's SDG 6, it's obvious, but other SDGs. And now with the program of climate change, I think that we will have to work hard to revise our standards and to comply the needs of climate change. And that gives the world the importance of the standardization work.
Thank you. Michael?
So everything about standards was said, so I will just speak as an Israeli. It's actually been 2 years, 2 years anniversary of the Abraham Accords. And I've been here in the UAE more than a dozen of times, and every time I'm here, I'm super excited. Because of the leaders who actually took this bold decision and created a peace between the two countries. But most important is the leaders of the countries who are actually working on developing together the new generation of water technologies. And today, as water-gen, I can tell you that we are working with Tel Aviv University, Ben Gurion University, and also Khalifa University here at Abu Dhabi joined us in our research actually to create the next generation of atmospheric water generators to make them more efficient and make them available to everyone from Israel and from the UAE as well.
Well, thank you. So I personally learned a lot today about standards, innovation, technologies. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned. And of course, if you have any feedback, please send us your feedback at the platform. Before we leave, I want to thank some people that without them, none of it would be here. First of all, thank you, ISO. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Satu. Maria, thank you. Jamie, I don't see her here. Anu, Collins, Kim, and all of you, the ISO team, you did a fantastic job, and thank you very much. There's coffee break outside, and there are 2 wonderful sessions, Diversity Challenge and Marketing. So please join them. And we're here if you need more questions. Thank you very much for coming.